Hello and welcome to Clamp, the weekly podcast where we discuss all things related to creating, living, and making projects. I'm Grant Alexander, and joining me as always is Adam Mackey and Morley Kurt. Tonight, we have a special guest. He likes working with his hands and painting his tools green. Most people think he's related to the Blackthorn Resort, but he spells Blackthorn correctly without the E. It's Keith Drennan from Blackthorn Concepts. Welcome, Keith.
Hi, happy to be here. Thanks for having me.
Thanks for joining us. So for our listeners who may not know who you are, why don't you take a few seconds here and tell us who you are and what you do?
I do a little bit of everything. I guess primarily woodworking, but I dabble in pretty much all the mediums. I'm just a Renaissance man who plays around in a shop. That's about it.
Yeah. Do you happen to host a podcast?
I do host a podcast. Yeah, the Working Hands podcast. Yeah. Sorry.
That's okay. It's all good. It's hard to talk about yourself, among people that you know as well.
I've been stressing about this part of the show all day.
Well, then we'll just move on to the next thing. We're going to go into the Clamp Challenge update. The Clamp Challenge, for those that don't know, is a challenge where you have to take a clamp or many clamps and turn them into something interesting, fun, functional, artistic, whatever you want to do with it. And the Clamp Challenge is going on until the 31st of July. And here's the update. We got John the Shriner inadvertently entered the competition. He modified a clamp to help him turn the top knob on his Delta copycat bandsaw. And he put like a bolt on both sides. And then I was like, is that your entry for the Clamp Challenge? And he was like, oh, I guess it is.
I'm calling shenanigans on this because the hashtag Clamp Challenge was in it. So I don't buy this whole he didn't know thing.
Oh no, he added it after.
All right. Likely story.
after I said it, yeah. But and then he made a nice.
Was just trying to ride the hashtag.
Yeah. Then he made a nice little post telling all of his followers what the Clamp Challenge is after he looked it up. Mark Daner was also posting about his Clamp Challenge. It looks like he's making a woodworking vise out of a pipe clamp. And that's something I've wanted to do in the past.
I don't know if his stories will still be there, but if he saved them and you can go back, he's actually has stories of making the clamps, the mallets, which are his prize that he's giving.
Did he confirm that he's giving a mallet?
Yeah, he was posting about it a couple days ago.
He was posting stories about it.
Nice.
Yeah. They look pretty cool. He's making two. I think they're both for us. I'm not sure.
Oh, okay, cool. I must have missed that. My internet was down. That's what I'm going to say.
Oh, yeah. You got internet back. I forgot.
Yeah. And Dave Bauer, he posted his concept drawing of a clam camp. Jesus Christ, I can't talk.
He did this
clam. Say that 10 times fast.
Yeah. Because his inside joke is that we used to be the Clam Podcast before we changed our name.
Oh, I didn't get that.
Yeah, because that's why we changed our name.
It makes sense now. Yeah.
Keith, what have your plans been so far on the on your Clamp Challenge? I know we talked earlier that you had a lot of different ideas. Do you want to share any of them?
I do. I'll share one. I'm making a like a bookshelf out of the old wood screw clamps.
Oh, nice.
So it'll be on the wall, and then it'll hold your books with the clamp. That's one. Another one, I don't know if I should talk about it, but the other one's going to be good. The other one's going to be good.
Do you want to save it for the after show, or do you think it's ready to be told here?
Let's save it for the after show.
All right.
I don't know if I'll be able to pull it off. Is the problem.
All right, that sounds like good after show content. Well, in talking about the clamp challenge, I wanted to bring Keith on because he ran a very successful build challenge for his podcast called the Make What You Fear Challenge. And I wanted to talk to Keith about running a challenge, what challenges he had on that, and maybe talking about future and what he would do different and what he will be doing different when he does Make What You Fear too.
Yeah, so we ran it on the Working Hands podcast, and it was no real parameters other than to use a medium you didn't typically work with. So, excuse me, if you were a woodworker, do metalworking or leatherworking or something outside your genre. And that sounds fun, and it sounds like it would invite a lot of people, but when it comes down to judging all the different variety of things that could be made it very, very tough at the end.
Yeah,
So,
without any kind of criteria, you had some very wide-ranging like things from urinals to 3D
arcade
printed
tables,
projects. Yeah,
3D printed. Yeah, so many things.
Wow.
It was fun to watch everyone go. And I think that was part of the fun of it. But the no real restriction, I think, also paralyzed people from not starting something because they didn't know what would be outside their genre.
right.
So you have that problem as well.
I think we've talked about that in the past on the show, where we've talked about restrictions help your creativity,
Yep.
and sometimes they hinder it, but they can help it. And it's that like open, like if you have a blank piece of paper, it's hard to draw something. But if somebody puts like a single line on it, then you can you see something all of a sudden, and now you can start a drawing.
So what are your guys' expectations with your challenge? Like, what questions would you have?
Well, so a couple of the questions that I thought would be interesting for us to learn, and also for the listeners, was about getting sponsors for it, because you got some amazing different prizes. And I wanted to know if you wanted to share a little bit about, were these people that you knew ahead of time? Did you just work, like you got Working Hands, the like O'Keefe's
Yeah, the
Working Hands
hands
stuff?
O'Keefe's Working Hands.
Yeah. So like, did you just, how did you reach out to these? Did you just go, I need to get, like, so to bring it back a little bit, we've been trying to get an official clamp sponsor for the clamp challenge, and we have literally emailed everyone. We've messaged them all, and we have not heard back. Even
Clamp companies are not really into social media.
Bessie didn't bite on that? I figured Bessie would be all over it.
Well, they didn't see our DM. We slid into their DMs, and I don't know if have ever seen someone's DMs when they're big. It's hard to find.
So I have a theory, and then I'll let Keith go. So I feel like companies are interested in influencer marketing if they're like competing for market share. So clamp companies, I think, like are kind of a commodity, and they're not really trying to compete for market share too much. Like people already use whichever clamps they use. Maybe I'm wrong, but that's my take.
I think
I
with
feel
the
like
clamp,
you could say that for any company.
Well, no, I mean, there's certain categories where it's like, it's a lot more competitive. I just feel like the clamp category is not as competitive.
Yeah, but that's like saying I'm not going to try and promote my drill driver because everyone uses the drill driver they use. Like different companies make better clamps.
Yeah. What do you think, Keith?
well, as far as clamp companies go, you see a lot of push from them when they have a new clamp coming out, or
Right.
Yeah.
like Rockler just killed it with that spring clamp thing, which that was all over social media for a while, even before it was out. You know, they find their people to send it to ahead of time. So I think for you guys, if you wanted to get a clamp company like that, you'd have to get them before they're going to come out with something new. But
Fair.
I don't know. I think there's a way to get one. We'll talk in the after show. But as far as the way we got sponsors, I just reached out, and Tony reached out to a few, and we just we're able to get the people at the right time.
So were you leveraging existing relationships? Because like I know some of them obviously like these are people you knew, and that's the same with us. We leveraged some of our listeners and got some amazing prizes from them. But like O'Keefe's Working Hands, did you just DM them, or did you? Yeah, you just slid into the DMs. Nice.
I just slid into the DMs for that. Vesting and Total Boat, I had relationships before by sliding into their DMs through, and one I had help with vesting. But Total Boat, I had just asked them when we did the Maker Swap last year's Maker Camp. I had asked them for some stuff. Sabretooth is already a sponsor of our podcast, so they were an easy get. They just gave us some Sabretooth to give away. Vesting, I went through somebody I knew that they had worked with, and he said just reach out. They'll probably respond, but if they don't, I'll help you with it. And they responded instantly. Like he had nothing to do with it, I don't think. They were just okay with it. So I got some vesting. We got Waffle Beaver Books. He reached out to us and wanted to join with his notebooks, his sketchbooks. Yeah. Brent over Clean Cut reached out to us. So I think.
I was about to say Brent reached out to us, and it was such a weird thing for someone to reach out to us. And I'm like, how? Like, it's for a company to reach out to us. I just felt so like we had made something in a way, if that makes sense.
The man's hustling.
Yeah. I don't know. Yeah,
he's hustling. I had been watching his router sleds for a little bit beforehand. I had started to hear about him, and then to have him reach out was like an honor for us. You know? It's like, oh, I even want one of those, and now I own one, so I got one this week.
I heard about that. Have you used it yet, or you still haven't got your Triton router yet?
The Triton is on back order until July 4th, so it should be here July 4th.
Nice.
So
I have thought about getting a router sled, and if I get one, it'll be a clean cut woodworking one. But I also, I don't know. I don't do enough flattening to justify it at the moment. I don't even have any space for it, but I know you know all about that.
I had built my own, like the old fine woodworking ones that you'd see with the two runners, and I hated it. And storing it was terrible, and I just stopped using it after a while.
If I'm just thinking back to the clamp sponsor, and I feel like we need to find the underdog clamp company. I'm thinking about like in Laura Komp's videos. For a while, she was using those like wooden clamps that looked like a whale mouth. So a company like that, like whoever's making the like cool artisanal Kickstarter clamp, we got to find those people.
Yeah. Well, so there is a clamp company that follows us, and I'm not going to mention their name because they didn't respond to us. But it's like they already follow our podcast, so boom, that's an easy in. And they never bothered to respond, and I just went, "Why are you following us?" Anyways, I think I might unfollow them. I don't know. I haven't decided yet.
Well, we just had a company message back today that I'm not going to say who it was, but we messaged them a month ago and they've only just responded.
Oh, this is a clamp company?
A clamp company?
Well, I mean, kind of.
Oh, well, that's
I'm not going to mention it. Let me just say their name.
Okay, we'll talk about it in the after show.
We mentioned them before anyway. Well, no, all it was, hey, like, just send us an email here and we'll might be in contact.
Yeah. Thanks.
Well, I tried to get at one point for the Maker Camp Maker Swap, and I did the whole email. Oh, email me here, and I emailed them, and they sent me a link to fill out a form, and the link was broken.
Yeah, that's what they sent. Yeah, right.
And I said, "Hey, this link is broken," and they said, "We'll have somebody look into it." It's been 8 months. I haven't gotten a response.
That's funny.
I wonder if the link works. Maybe it was a way of getting rid of you.
Yeah.
Well, we don't know why the link doesn't work.
A lot more work than just not responding.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, like, we got Keen Utility, and they sent us to like I DM'd them, I slid in the DMs. They're like, we just run the social media. Here's the people who do that, and they sent me an email, and I reached out to that person, and they're really nice and said, yeah, that sounds like a great idea. So for anyone looking in the future, sliding into the DMs is something that you seems like is the way to go.
Yeah,
But
agreed.
Well, I got
be
more
careful.
responses
You gotta
from
get
DMs
used
and
to-
emails.
Yeah. You just got to be careful because people may not respond. Like, don't take offense because some of these companies are getting hundreds of messages a day. Right?
Yeah. I think it's all in the way you ask for it too. Like they're getting hundreds of people saying, "Hey, you sent such and such influencer something for free. Can I get something for free?" And they're trying to weed all that out too. So,
Right.
like when I started reaching out for the Maker Swap last year, I put together a whole thing of how we're doing this thing in a community building and blah, blah. We don't want the product. We want to be able to give the product away. And I wrote up a long, like probably 2 paragraphs explaining everything for it. And I had some great success with it. And I used that for the challenge when I emailed some people, and I got some good if it seems like you're asking for yourself, I think you're going to get immediately goodbye from these companies.
So, how did you explain to them? How did you demonstrate what kind of value they would get back?
Yeah, that was my question too.
Right. Like, did you
I
explain
didn't
how big
explain-
your. Oh, no?
No, I didn't explain any of the value. I never mentioned how many listens we got, any of
Oh,
that.
nice. Interesting.
I think having a prepared response would have been good for that for us. We got a response from a company saying like, yeah, we would like to send you something, but what are we going to get in return? And I didn't know what to say back. We didn't tell companies how many listeners we get and stuff, but we said we're in like the top % on Buzzsprout and that sort of stuff. But I didn't know how to respond to that because, I mean, in all reality, to be completely honest, what you're getting back is us saying that you gave us, that you're giving a prize, and we'll put you on social media and stuff. But
So
what kind of value that is to a company?
one of the things I did tell people is how many weeks it was going to go. And from the time they sign on until the end, we will mention and post about it.
Yeah.
Right.
But I never gave them any numbers like how many listens we had or how many people were participating because that changes every day. There's no way for me to give those real metrics, you know?
Right. Yeah. So then you talked about the value you were giving them was it's going to be this many weeks, mentioning it all the time, posting about it, saying their name.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Makes
and that
sense.
week changes as the weeks go on. So the earlier they act, the better for you.
Right.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Well, so the other thing to switch gears from sponsors a little bit, you talked a little bit earlier about the restrictions or lack thereof of your challenge, and you're coming up with we obviously made the challenge a lot more restrictive in that you need to start with the clamp. Now, we left the clamp out to anything, but I've already heard from a few different people in the Discord group we're part of that it's too open. It's still too open. They're like, I don't know what to do with any of these clamps. And I think they're having a little bit of a writer's block, but I think the same thing probably happened with Make What You Fear. And what kind of lessons did you learn from that? And what are you going to do in the future maybe to kind of combat that?
Well, just like the clamp challenge, Make What You Fear was the first year.
Right.
So people weren't prepared for what it was going to be, the timetable, what they could make. Now that it's been done, I don't know that we're going to change much. We may change. It may not be use a material you don't do. Maybe it's use a process you've never used before. We don't know what it's going to be. But we're probably going to keep it open-ended again. And I think it's one of those things where the more posts that are out there, the more people's juices get going in their
Right.
in their head. And I was just checking out your Clampcast hashtag today, and the Clamp Challenge hashtag,
Yeah.
and there's a bunch of posts in there, and it's given people ideas who aren't yet in there. So I think it's just a matter of waiting, and it'll build. Is how long does yours go?
Till end of July. So you got 2 more months, basically.
Yeah, well, about 7 weeks.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think when we were first discussing the plan for this, having it go on for as long as possible, I think was a great call.
Yeah, I was about to say something.
Like, if anything, we should have made it even longer.
It does get fatiguing. We did 4 months, and it was fatiguing at 4 months. That's one thing we will bring in is not 4 months. Maybe 3 is good. One of the things we came up with early on was a lot of these challenges people put out are 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Wow.
The challenge buzz doesn't come up until closer to the deadline when people are actually posting their stuff.
Right.
So if people are working on it, there are those people that can do it in 2 weeks, and God bless them. But my job does not allow for that, and I'm not a full-time maker. So a 2-week challenge is useless to me. They can come and go all day long. I'll never join one unless it's something I'm already working on. So we said, let's go longer. And the longer you go, it allows people to build, think, plan, buy, acquire what they need, right? And then build it, present it, and hopefully win. So, but I think 4 months was long. So what is yours, 3 months?
2.5.
2.5. Yeah.
I think that's a sweet
Maybe
spot
3.
right there. 2.5, 3 months. I think you're in the sweet spot.
Yeah, I think you're right. Once the project starts coming in, people will start getting like ideas from based off other people seeing what they can do. I'm excited to see what some amazing projects people are going to be putting in here. I really feel like I want to get mine done, but I can't figure out. I need more inspiration myself. You know. I don't want to make some, because we're going to be competing just like you guys did. And I actually think that I want to win, not just by paying everyone off like you. I want to win the right way.
I didn't pay anybody off.
I know you didn't.
So, speaking of clamps, a quick clamp technicality tangent. Grant, last week you mentioned the F clamps without the toggle switch. You really don't like those, correct?
Without the clutches, yeah.
Yeah. So we have a bag full of Bessie toggle. What did you call them again? Not toggle switch. Clutchless F clamps at the Steam project.
Oh God, yeah.
They are fantastic. I absolutely love them. Like, I honestly, because they're very simple, they're small. The lack of a clutch makes them lighter. And I actually find that I don't really need the clutch because I'll use them with the handle facing up. So gravity makes it fall into place and then you just tighten it. It's super quick.
Yeah, I hate
Other
them
than on
because
YouTube,
they are
I've
always
never seen
falling
a
off.
clutch. All my clamps don't have clutches.
So when you pick them up, the bottom, the middle part of an F just falls down?
When I pick them up to like transport them to my workpiece.
Yeah.
No, because what I do is I move it, I close the clamp fully and just give it quarter of a turn and it locks it.
Yeah, it's horrible.
Well, because I hang
like
them from the handle.
I like the simplicity of it. It's just very fast. And it's because you actually have to press the clutch to move it in the other version. But if you're working with a whole class of kids, it's so, I know you don't actually have to, but it's just, it feels very fast, which I like in a classroom setting.
I'm going to agree with Grant on this one. The clutches are superior, but I use both clutchless and clutches. But do you have the little 4-inch ones from Bessie in your project?
We have. Are you talking about like the height, not the throat depth? Yeah, it's probably like maybe 6 inches. They're pretty small.
All right, yeah, the little ones. Yeah, I have a bunch of those, and I can't stand them because there's no clutch. They're falling all over the place. They're flopping around.
Teach their own.
I find if I was always clamping with them where gravity would help, it would be great. But I often find that gravity is working against me and making it much more difficult.
Sounds like you just got to
And
flip
when
your
I-
clamp around.
Well, you can't
Sounds
always
like a you problem.
flip your clamp. I don't know.
So this I think it could be an interesting prompt for the clamp challenge. It's like people have these annoyances with clamps. So invent a better clamp, invent the perfect clamp for your setting. That I think would be an amazing project.
We don't all have 3D printers, Morley.
You don't need a 3D printer. And if you know what, you can get a 3D printer for less than a circular saw these days. So it is within the grasp of many.
I got one fatal flaw with your challenge, and it's the only one I can think of because I think it's a cool challenge. There's one fatal flaw. What does everyone say that you need in your shop?
More clamps.
More clamps.
When it comes to clamps. How many clamps do you need? As many as you have plus one, right?
Right.
Always. So now I'm going to destroy one of my clamps to join your clamp challenge?
Well, you could make a new one. That's what I'm saying. You could invent a new clamp and add it to your collection.
Oh, no. For me, I'm destroying a few for the challenge. But I'm just saying.
For my build, I actually went out and bought 4 brand new clamps. And I think I'm going to actually use like my old clamps and keep the brand new ones. But once I finish the build and I've done all the Instagram posts and stuff, I have no use for the item. I'm going to pull it back apart and just use the clamps as normal, to be honest. So,
Well, we'll see. We'll see about that.
yeah.
I personally, I have a bunch of broken clamps, and I was actually talking with Waffle Beaver yesterday or today, and I said, "Are you going to make something? Or are you going to turn some clamps? Like, are you going to shred up an old clamp and turn it into something fun?" And he said, "I never thought about doing that." And so now I'm sure he's out looking for some
More
clamps
trash.
out of the trash. Yeah, but he's also about to move to Hawaii, so
Ooh.
he may not have the time. The other thing that I wanted to talk about was actually the maker swap, because I think that's another kind of build challenge in a different way that you spearheaded. It's part of, for those that don't know, it's part of Maker Camp. Maybe you want to talk a little bit about it.
I do want to talk a little bit about it. So it is not a challenge. It is, if you're attending Maker Camp, you make an item to show off your skills, whatever your skill is, show it off, bring your skills because it's going to go maker to maker. So you make an item that somebody can travel with. There's no real size restriction, but you put it in, it's kind of like a raffle and you get a ticket. And then on Sunday at Maker Camp, we do like a drawing. We pick the numbers and you go home with another maker's item out of that grab bag of items. So it's fun. It's a lot of fun to be at and do. So we got a great response from it last year. So
You had like 100+ people enter the Maker Swap, which
I
is
think the final tally was. I have the roll of tickets that I gave out, and I gave out 112 tickets. So
wow.
I don't
And
know if
that
that
was
was
the
112 items, if a couple got ripped in between, but it was definitely more than 100 items.
That's so that, yeah, I know you said it's not a challenge, but it has all the other parts of a challenge except for there's no grand winner or whatever. It has a deadline. You have to make something. There's kind of restrictions around it. You know what, like you have to make something really good because you're hoping to get something really good back. So you don't want to, you don't want to put it in a boot jack or something in there. You want to make something good.
Yeah. You definitely want to bring your A game when it comes to it. There's some amazing things that go in there. I did a stone carving last year. People were putting in knives or I can't even begin to tell you all the different things that were in there because everything was different. There was hardly a duplicate anything in there, which was fun. People were pining after certain things. It's also fun to see what people are excited to try and get, So
when you did that, did you do any kind of like bad Santa rules, or was it just a 1-for-1?
it's just a 1-for-1.
Nice.
Oh, so originally when we did it, we thought we'd have maybe 20 or 30 people tops in, because the hashtag was like, there was a couple people involved in it. And then I think towards the end, the same thing with the challenge, people got to see what it was and they started scrambling to make something before Maker Camp. And because they wanted to win the different items that were going to be there that were shown in that hashtag. So I think it blew up in the last, I'd say 2 weeks prior to Maker Camp, which is close to Maker Camp if you're making something for Maker Camp with travel and all that. So it kind of blew up and we had 100 people. So we just had to figure out how to do it evenly. So we just did one bucket number drawing with the tickets and that was it.
Nice.
So it was a lot of fun.
That's awesome. I'm hoping to come to Maker Camp this year, so I hope to participate in that as well.
Get the ticket now.
How does one get a ticket? Oh, you mean to Maker Camp? I thought you meant a raffle ticket for the swap. That's just, I guess,
to get a raffle ticket for the swap. If you want to keep going with the swap, then there's preset times during the event where you can come drop off your item at our table or booth. You drop off your item, you fill out a little paperwork, and we give you a raffle ticket. We rip half, throw it in a bucket, and you take the other one, and off you go. Mm-hmm. And you wait for Sunday for the drawing.
Yeah. Nice. I was curious when you on Working Hands podcast, when you were talking about it being all outside and the logistical things that you had to come across. Was there any problems with the weather and having these items be outside? Like, did anyone make a journal that just like blew away or something like that? Or did everything sort of survive the 24 hours that it had to stay outside?
No. So last year we did it a little differently for a few reasons out of my control, but they had, Austin gave us a trailer. So he has an enclosed trailer. That's where we kept the items. So last year we were hurrying it up and packing everything into the trailer after they were checked in. And a lot of people were like, I don't even know what was there. From Saturday to Sunday, we didn't pull everything back out. Friday to Saturday or Saturday to Sunday, we didn't pull the items back out for people to see. So they were just in the trailer, locked up. This year, I don't know where they're going to be, but they'll be locked up when no one's around them. But we're going to leave them on display. So if you make something light that's going to blow away, we'll put it under something that won't blow away.
I guess the ideal would be like a glass display case that everyone could see for the weekend, right?
Yeah. Yeah. The idea is none of you guys have been to Maker Camp yet, right?
I haven't, no.
This year it's going to change that for all three of you. But
it's just a bit far from any trouble, that's all.
You got it. So the way it works is there's all different booths where you can go and make stuff or learn something or watch a demonstration from somebody. But the first year that happened, and at the end of it, Jimmy was talking about how in 2020 he wanted it to be, come show off your skills. So I came up with the idea as he was speaking at the end of the 19 one. Or I knew I wanted an idea. So over the course of the year, I came up with it. And then obviously COVID pushed it off. So in 2021 was the first year we were able to do it. But the idea was that even if you're not a presenter and you're not a demonstrator, you can bring whatever your skill is there, show it off, and then not only show it off, but give it to another maker. That was the consensus of it. So it brings people who are just going there to watch or what have you, it gives them to be a part of Maker Camp.
That's really cool.
Yeah, that seems cool.
And then I want it to be like when you're walking around and meeting people and talking to different makers at Maker Camp that you can say, hey, I made the clamp that is now a race car and it's on display over at the swap. Somebody can go over and check out what you can do with your skills after they meet you. And you can make friends that way or bond with somebody over it.
You were talking on your podcast about how to kind of display it, and I think would be a really cool idea is have a little placard for everyone that they can put a sticker on, so that mostly everyone has a sticker with their logo, and they can put
that would work,
right? Put a little like folded over thing with their sticker, a spot for a sticker, a spot for your socials. That way people can see the logo, see the socials, see your name, whatever. And then when you're going around, you can be like, "Oh, Grant Alexander, your race car clamp." Like, "Oh, that was so cool. I saw it at the Maker Swap."
I like that idea.
There you go. Now it was all worth it for you to come on the podcast.
It was. But now I got to make placards for up to 500 people.
Yeah.
That's
So
the challenge.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, for those that don't know, the Maker Camp is apparently limiting the amount of people. I know he said in the past he wants to limit it to like 450 or something like that, but it's probably gone up since then. But he wants to keep the same sort of vibe. And if you get too many people, the vibe goes out. So if you're thinking of going, you should probably get your tickets now.
You weren't kidding, Keith.
Becomes less of a hangout.
Oh, no. Get your ticket now. If you want to go, get a ticket.
All right.
For
I will.
sure. I assume you like camping.
Oh, yeah.
Then you're perfect. So there's plenty of campsites left. But it's limited, based on what's happening there. So I don't know if the 450 number will stay. I think if he went up to like maybe even 650 this year, I think the vibe would be the same. So he spread it out. Like the first year was everything was tight together, and there was a few hundred people there that year, and it had a vibe to it. And the following year there was maybe 100 more people, but everything was spread out a little more. And the last time I talked to him when I was up there, he said he's going to spread it out a little bit more than that. So, but try and keep it more cohesive, but spread out to keep the vibe with the more people. So I don't think there's going to be, I think he could probably up the number, but that's up to him. It's what they can handle. So it's a fun event. If you've never been, I highly recommend it. This was supposed to be my Clampmendation, but I'll have to come up with another one.
That's all right.
You just reminded me to look for one. So don't make me go first.
Do you guys have any other questions about build challenges, running a successful challenge? Do you think it was a success, actually?
I do.
Yeah.
I had a lot of fun with it. I think the guys had a lot of fun with it. The people who did it had a lot of fun with it. I know Ed Johns was one of the big winners. He won the router sled, and I don't think he'll ever make another knife. But he enjoyed it. So
I'm just curious. I feel guilty, like I have an obligation to the sponsors that have given to our challenge, and I wonder, like, what did you guys do along the terms of promoting, like on Instagram and all that sort of stuff? I feel like I need to post about each sponsor like every week or something.
So the way I did it, because I was doing the Instagram during the challenge, but I would just, when we did a post, I would do a story about the challenge, and I would tag all of the sponsors.
Right.
I would tag them. We'd mention them on every episode. We'd tag them. I think there was a lot of value for them that way. I don't know what more you can do as a podcast other than talk about them on the podcast and maybe post about them on your Instagram. It's not like you're going to go around telling people, "Hey guys,
well, yeah,
buy yourself a router."
We give a good impression. If we ever want to do another challenge in the future, I don't want sponsors to go, "Well, they didn't do much last time, so no."
Well, I think the benefit for the sponsors is that you're reaching out to sponsors that are looking for your item, right? The items you're giving away. I forget all your sponsors, but you have a router sled, you have a frog pod, you have Keen boots, right? These are all things people in your audience want, right? So out of all the hundreds of listeners you guys have, thousands of listeners, millions of listeners, you're targeting that demographic for those companies, right?
Yeah.
So they're giving you one pair of boots or one frog pod or one sled, right? So if you sell one or two of each of those things, you're golden. They're making their money back.
Fair.
Yeah, it's like the whole reason influencer marketing has a lot of money behind it is because all a company has to do is give one product and then they have access to like a very passionate audience that's super in line with their products.
Right.
They could go put their thing on TV and not hit one person that'll ever touch it.
Right.
Yeah.
You guys are direct to your sponsors.
Sure, yeah.
I didn't mean to step on you, Grant.
No, I was just going to say this is a good time to mention the prizes we do have. You've mentioned a lot of them, but I'll go over them all to make sure we don't forget anyone. We got prizes from Keen Utility, IsoTunes, Timbicon. They're giving away a mag switch. KJP Select Hardwoods giving away a cutting board package. Frog Pod's giving away one of their awesome Frog Pod things, and potentially before production even. Andrew Zito's giving away something. He still hasn't decided, but it'll probably be something skateboard related. Ethan Carter Designs is giving away one of his awesome Exactos. Bear Maked's giving away a pen. CCW router sleds, amazing donation of a router sled. A Weird Guy's giving away a round to it, so in case you ever need to get around to it. Dean Duplantis is going to give away a stamp to and work with the person, rubber stamp, and Dana Maid's making a mallet. And I think I got everyone.
Did you say Timicon's giving a mag switch?
Yeah,
I'm getting
mag
a
switch.
featherboard. Feather thing.
It's a mag switch featherboard.
Right. Okay.
It's a mag switch featherboard. It's pretty sweet.
Right.
Since
I just wanted to make sure
I've been on the podcast, I can still win, right?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay,
You can even win if you donate a prize. We allow that.
The only people that can't win are the three of us.
Yes.
Are you guys doing one prize, like one winner take all?
No, we're probably going to do top three. It depends on how many people enter. If we only have like 3 people enter, then we'll probably just do one winner take all. But if we have like a bunch, we're probably going to go a 1, 2, 3. Not like in order, not a grand prize. Like here's the top 3 because we probably won't be able. It'll probably be like one from Grant, one from Morley, and one from Adam.
That's a good way of doing it, actually. I don't know if we've actually mentioned this on the podcast, but we are actually allowing multiple entries, but you can only win once.
Right. Yeah, it's good to mention.
You can only win once.
Yeah, you only win one prize. So that way.
I will
That
say,
way
as an outsider, I do have a router sled, and it is nice. I haven't used it yet, but I have it, and it's top quality. I do have one of those frog pods, and they're fantastic. I wear Keen boots; they're great. You guys got one hell of a lineup going.
Yeah. Now
I feel like you don't need to win. You've already got everything.
Shh, I still want it all.
Yeah. Okay, well, on that note, I think it's a good time to thank our Patreon supporters. Everyone who goes over to patreon.com/clamp can get access to the pre-show, which today we had without Adam. So, there's going to be lots of people who are going to want to tune in for that. And you also get access to the after show. Our F clamp level, which are the best types of clamps and also the best types of patrons because they pay the most, are Brent Jarvis from Clean Cut Woodworking, Vincent Ferrari from Because We Make, Austin from the High Caliber Craftsman, and Scott Oram from Dad It Yourself. They all and everyone else can get access to the pre-show. Everyone gets a keychain that is numbered and made by Morley. And like I said, you can go to patreon.com/clamp and join there. If you can't support us financially, we completely understand. We would appreciate if everyone could share the show and write a review if you'd like. And now, Clampmendations.
Clampmendations. I want to shout out Boris Ipsum, an amazing Instagram account that popped up on my feed. He does these really cool wall panels. I'm assuming most of them are being used for. So basically taking silicone molds and arranging like silicone pieces and foam pieces in interesting shapes and casting concrete over top to come up with these really interesting textures. They're really interesting. I always look at textures like those and think about how I can make them. Like I'm very fascinated by textures like that in general. And he has a great way of syncing his videos to music. Like I think a lot of us feel that there's a glut of overplayed bad music in Instagram Reels, but he actually goes through the work of finding like the perfect hardcore trap or dubstep song that somehow fits his like brutalist interior design. Not somehow, it's very clear. It's just a great matching of aesthetics. His like brutalist interior design super well. So yeah, it's like great inspiration just for like ways that you can make these really interesting textures just by kind of like building up Lego blocks of pieces of silicone and foam. Yeah, really, really cool. Boris Ipsum on Instagram. Check it out.
Wow. I am in the process of designing a decorative panel that I was going to do 3D printing, so I will follow him for some inspiration.
Very cool.
I guess I'm next. I'm going to recommend everyone check out Stranger Things Season 4. I'm doing a Keith recommendation. I'm not actually through it yet, but I'm pretty confident that I will enjoy the ending of it. I won't change things, but it's really good, and I really like. I know I was born in the '80s, so I didn't like grow up in the '80s, but I associate a lot with that stuff. Getting like hand me down stuff from my brother, who was born in 1980, so he had more of the stuff that Stranger Things has in their show. But I just have this like big association with all of their things and music, and I don't know.
I think Stranger Things more so than the 80s just has a really great way of depicting the like nostalgia of childhood. I mean, I grew up in the 2000s and I still relate to that show.
You grew up in the 2000s?
Yeah, he's a baby. I tapped out.
Stranger Things. Yeah, I tucked out when they hit the underground, the underworld,
Upside Down.
There's too much for me.
I was out.
Yeah.
But before that, it was a fantastic show.
Yeah.
Are you the guy who watches the horror movie up until things go south? You're like, everything was great until that, monster showed up.
Oh, you just gave me a unique recommendation.
No, I didn't mind her having powers, but then there's this whole other world. Come on. That's what
Other worlds aren't real.
Like other worlds not real for me.
Superpowers totally real.
But I grew up in the 80s, so the nostalgia's there for me. But
fair.
Have you seen the Stranger Things thing they did at Bondi Beach in Australia? No, they did like a full like thing to the underworld, or I'm assuming that's what it was. But like the beach got taken over by like this huge Stranger Things thing. My Clampmendation for this week, I just changed it thanks to Morley, is the new Scream movie. I watched it recently, and they did a really good job at kind of copying the original, like it's like a remake of the original, but in the actual story of the movie, the characters talk about like movie buffs trying to find a movie, like for them to try and remake an original, and they can never get it right. So like it's like a play on trying to make the movie right, but then they actually do in a way. Like it's a really cool way to flip it, where like they've remade the movie, but they have a way to do it in a funny, cool way.
Cool. Yeah. I think Scream came out in like the year 2000, so it's relevant.
Yeah. Well, there's some of the original cast in there. Scream?
Yeah. Keith,
I will quickly say, hang on, before we go on, have you seen Scary Movie, which is like the funny version? I was watching Scream and I'm like, no, Dewey is not the murderer. He's not the murderer. Dewey's not the murderer. Because in Scary Movie, he is.
Yeah.
And I'm just watching it. And I kept getting confused because I'm so used to Scary Movie that, yeah.
Did you just give away the ending to the new Scream?
No, not at all.
Oh, okay.
Keith, what's your recommendation for the week?
Well, I was going to say get to your local maker event, but since we talked about Maker Camp, I'm going to say the Revolution grinder. I love that thing. I just got one. I didn't know how much of a 2x72 grinder I would use in my wood shop. I'm not a knife maker, but I use it every time I'm in the shop now for everything.
Oh,
Sharpening chisels, planes, sanding stuff. They're amazing.
Are they expensive? Because they talked about that on Making It, and they were saying they were expensive.
Yeah, so the one I got the House Made Revolution 4. It's the Revolution 4. It's the name of it. You build it yourself. So they're not cheap, but that's the cheapest way to go.
Right. I just never heard of them before. So.
yeah. So they were on the Making Our Way, or Brian House was on Making Our Way podcast a little while ago. And for those who are coming to the high caliber camp, he's got one. House sent him one for the camp, so I'm excited to try it out, see how it compares to the one that Austin designed and built himself. Because I feel like the house one's going to be nicer, but we'll see.
I don't know. I mean, I've used, I think it was a Marabraid. I used the Broadbacks at Maker Camp and at the welding school. And now I have a Revolution. And they're all good. They all have their own quirks. The Revolution, I mean, you can't go wrong with it if you can build it yourself. That's the way to go, I think. But they're just amazing machines. It's one of those things you don't know you need until you have one. And then I don't know what I did without it.
Yeah, I'm thinking he was talking about how someone like sharpened their lawnmower blades, like took a company sharpening lawnmower blades, and so it's like sharpening my lawnmower blades with an angle grinder. I was like, this would be so much nicer in a 2x72. And then I was like, I got a 4x36. I'll try it on that. And I just
Yeah, 4x36 doesn't have the power of the 2x72.
it doesn't. I can stop it with my hands.
The actual machine is not that bad price wise, but then you're buying a 2 horsepower motor and a VFD to run it. That's where the price comes in. So, Adam, if you're asking for that, like if you can get your hands on a VFD and a motor, which some people somehow come across them.
I have 4 downstairs.
There you go. Then, like the house-made one, you could just buy the plans from him, and then you cut your own steel and make it that way, which you could do. I mean, it seems daunting, but you could do it. But I just bought the whole steel kit from him and then welded it up. So,
right. So when people say grinder, I think of like a handheld grinder, and I've just Googled it and realized that it's actually a linisher.
It's a what?
A linisher. That's what
It's a belt grinder.
I feel like we talked about this in like episode 10.
Yeah.
Like I think
this is the Australian word of the day. What is a linisher?
I think that should be it. I think that's the Australian word of the week. Linisher.
We've already done that. But that is a good segue into the Australian Adam's Australian word of the week.
Okay.
And we're going to let Keith go first on this.
Yeah.
I knew Agadaka. I don't know if I'll know this one.
I wasn't prepared. I wasn't ready. Damn it!
Well, it's a good thing you edit this.
I'll cut this.
Do you need 2 minutes? Because I have another challenge thing I can talk about while you're looking.
All right.
Yeah.
Talk
and then
away.
you can segue again, Grant.
Yep.
Yeah. So one of the things that we screwed up, and we didn't realize it at first, and it's good that you're still early. Make a post and put the info in the post, not in the caption. So I had a lot of people say, "Oh, what is the Make What You Fear challenge?" And I'm like, all right, you gotta go listen to episode 25 of the Working Hands podcast. You know what I mean? And they're like, I'm not going to do that. So they're on Instagram and they see it. And it's not so much that they don't listen, because they're listeners of the show, but they want to share it. So
Right.
that's how you get your word out. So if you have a post and it's in there and it's attention grabbing in the actual post, whether it be a reel, something people can share, to share it with other people.
Right.
Because I had a few people who were doing their thing for ours, and they were telling their friends about it, and they couldn't share it with them. And then, when it's a 4-month long process, they forget what episode it was. They're not going to look back in your back catalog to share it with somebody. So if you have that post, they can go to your page, grab that post, and share it with them.
That is a great thing something I've done, but I haven't actually shared with anyone, is that I made a bit on our website at clampcast.com/clamp-challenge, and you can go there, and that's the link in our Instagram bio right now. And it has the, lack of a better term, rules, and it also lists all the prizes that have been donated so far, and has that. So if you want to share, you can just share the link in the Clampcast bio.
We should make a post as well. I don't think that
We're going to make a post as well. We have a post.
I like how you said, I did something else, not what you said.
I did something easily shareable. You want to find out about it, it's easily shareable.
Well, when I say people want to share it, it's more the actual post. Like I've been working on all day. I keep redoing it, but the post for Camp Maker Swap, because that's a weird thing. Most people aren't going to know what I'm talking about if it's like 1 or 2 sentences. So I got to be real clear with it. So I keep rewriting it. But the post is what people are going to share to their stories or send off to a friend. That's what's going to get you ramping up.
Yes.
Yeah.
That is a really good thing to note. And on that note, we're going to go to Adam's Australian Word of the Week.
Yeah. We're going to go with Sticky Beak.
Well, this sounds like it's right up Keith's alley.
I got some things we should save for the after show for that one. Sticky Beak. I'm going to say a runny nose.
No.
Well, you can't. Don't say no until
That's a good guess.
It was a good guess.
Sticky beak. Oh, can you use it?
Is it a sunburnt nose?
No. Yesterday I had a good sticky beak. That works.
Oh.
There should be more to that sentence, but I'm not.
I would say. So someone typed something in the chat, and I was going to go down that road, but sticky beak.
Would.
I'm going to say it's like a donut.
No. Before I give the answer, I will say if you want to know what someone said in the chat, it'll be in the after show. Sticky beak is someone who likes to pry or meddle. So,
how did you use that in a sentence?
Yesterday I had a bit of a sticky beak.
Okay. So how is that a person?
It's not a person. No, it's the person. It's like to have a sticky beak on something that's going on. Like there's a car accident. I had a sticky beak and had a look around to see what was going on.
Oh, that is.
I understand.
I don't know how to use Australian words. That's all.
It's like halfway between a noun and a verb.
Yeah, I don't like it. I don't like it at all. But, well, thank you very much, Keith, for coming on this show. Do you want to tell everyone where's the best place to find you?
You can find me on Instagram at Blackthorn Concepts or on the Working Hands podcast.
All right. Well, thank you very much.
Yes.
You can find all of us on various social medias by searching for Clamp Adam Grant Morley. Until next time, cheers.
Bye.
See you.
Thanks.